Hi, everybody. Welcome to Concordia University's Concordia Compass webinar, our first one of 2024. We are going to give everyone a second just to get logged in, mute their mics as we wait for our guests to arrive, and then we'll get started. All right, everyone. Hopefully, you guys have gotten an opportunity to get logged on and settled. My name is Evan Jones. I am the Director of Undergraduate Admissions here at Concordia University. And this webinar tonight is part of our series called Concordia Compass, which basically allows you to navigate your college journey better at Concordia. So we will have a variety of topics that we'll be covering this semester, I should say, and through the summer. This one tonight is about athletics. So I would like to, before we get started in our presentation, I want to give our lovely ladies who are joining us tonight a chance to introduce themselves, and then we will get started. So Megan, I'll pass it on to you, and you can pass it on to Crystal.
Yeah, thanks so much, Evan. First and foremost, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. My name is Megan Fierstein, and I work in the admissions office, and I have the pleasure of working with all recruited athletes. So at any point, if you guys have questions, all my information is on the website. Feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email. Thanks so much. Crystal, off to you.
Yeah, thanks, Megan. My name is Crystal Rosenthal. I am the Director of Athletics here and the head softball coach. So my hope tonight is to provide some education in terms of what we are trying to accomplish here in our athletic department, and then, of course, answer any questions that you guys might have that I'm capable of answering.
Great. And I just want to let everyone know that this webinar is being recorded. So if at any point you've missed something or you didn't take notes, whatever it is, we can send this webinar to you after the fact. And along the lines of note taking, I would encourage you guys just to kind of sit back, listen, and take everything in, and then we'll follow up with you afterwards. So without further ado, I'm going to give it over to Crystal, our director, and tell us all about athletics, Crystal.
Okay, let me see if I can share my screen. How am I doing, ladies? I'm up and running. Great. Okay, guys, I have a couple goals today, just in this presentation, and I will shoot through this as quickly as I can, but I'm hoping to kind of give you some insight as to what our athletic department culture is aiming to provide for student athletes, to kind of give some insight into what we do every day, what our daily life is like, and what you could expect for your student athlete. And then obviously at the end to answer some questions. So we're going to get a behind the scenes tour here to CUI Athletics. And I'm going to hit my next slide. So for those on the call, I am actually an alumni from here. I graduated back in 2000. I have been here for about 24 years or so, and I'm only 27. So a good section of my life I've been here. I believe passionately in what our mission of the institution is. And I think the coolest part of athletics, at least in my mind, and I'm of course a little biased, is that it provides a really big facet of the holistic education part of what Concordia stands for. Lutheran education in general is very focused on the holistic development of students. And for us in athletics, we're able to really focus on the physical side of what that may look like, with of course, the root in Christ focused on the whole person. I've always looked at athletics as a place to develop your God-given gifts. I believe Jesus would have been a really good athlete, probably would have played shortstop here for my softball team. And I'm proud to say that our university athletic department is very much aligned with the university's mission at every level. And we've got some really good sections in our upcoming strategic plan, with really good backing from both our president and cabinet to help us continue to grow and thrive, which I'll share with you in a bit. And I'm sorry in advance I talk fast, but you'll get used to me. Just in terms of what our culture is, I think it's important to kind of hear a little bit of what our coaches hear. And, the key to athletics is every coach is unique. Every coach is just like a professor. They've got different styles. They might have different messages, but generally you should see some themes that are very similar, although they might seem different since they're coming from unique individuals. So something we've shared with our coaches since 2020, which is when I took the job, is kind of our 3 rallying cries. is we're looking to compete, lead, and serve, and to teach our students how to do those things. So for me, compete isn't necessarily winning on the court or in the pool or on the field. It's about what I've just mentioned, using God's gifts to the best of your ability so that you are as prepared as possible to honor him as you play. The leadership part is a huge section of what we're trying to do to develop, to really lean into the mission. Wise, honorable, and cultivated citizens really serves well in athletics. Leadership is something that maybe is lacking a little bit in today's young people. I feel like athletics is a place where they can learn to use their voice, lead by their actions, and all that good stuff. And then we pride ourselves in being the leader in the PacWest of community service hours. Believe strongly that if you teach young people how to serve at a young age, they will continue to do that for a lifetime. So we're lucky we have the president that we have, as he makes that a big priority for the general student population here. In athletics, we have a little bit more of measurable outcomes because the NCAA has a place we can record those. So we kind of get to see how we're doing, which is the last 3 years has been at the top of our PacWest conference. So well. Leading into the next slide, just to kind of give you a little bit of background in terms of how we've gotten where we are. In 1981, the glorious 80s, we started in the NAIA, and we were there until 2015. And as we transitioned, we had a 3-year period where we kind of just got our feet in the ground. We transitioned fully. We've got 27 programs in 7 different conferences. Our home conference is the PacWest. It is a challenge. We have a large population of student athletes. I think what that provides is a nice tight-knit community of like-minded people that understand. And it's kind of nice. We have a full variety from lacrosse to tennis to baseball to water polo to you name it, minus football. We pretty much have it. The unique part for us is we do participate in so many conferences. So while some nights, actually right now in our gym, we're hosting Harvard, not Harvard Junior College, but the Harvard is in our gym playing our volleyball team. We're a member of the MPSF, which is a Division I conference in men's volleyball. And then, at least for a minute, we are still the only Division II university in Orange County. Okay, so I believe this is a destination. We've really come on the scene strong the last couple of years. We combine, which I mentioned in here, education, top-notch facilities, our location, and access to superior athletes. If you just start running down the list in Orange County, California, not that we don't go outside of that, but we are in the hotbed of many of the major sports, where many of our athletes right in our backyard go on to play in some of the professional leagues across the board, MLB, MPSF, all the things. Our women's soccer team had a tremendous year. This past year, we were ranked #1 in the nation for a brief moment. We made it to the regional final the year before. Our softball team has won 9 conference championships, and we've hosted the NCAA regional 5 years in a row. And then our men's lacrosse team last year, and our last year as a club sport, won the MCLA national championship, and they have now transitioned into Division II. So they are our last men's sport standing that was not considered a varsity sport, which now it is. And then here's a big question. So these are always questions that come through our office. And I know for Megan and Evan, they come through their office too. So let me give you a brief understanding on the ways you become a Golden Eagle. Okay, so the first and most obvious way is you get a scholarship and you're recruited. So that looks different in every sport. So I want to say that. Some of our sports recruit really early. So they're done maybe 2 years ahead of time. Some of our sports are done like 2 hours ahead of time of the first day of class. So each coach is unique, each situation is unique, and each coach's ability to give scholarship is unique. Sometimes it's an NCAA thing where we only have a certain allotment that we can give per the NCAA. Sometimes we're limited by our institution. So maybe you have a friend that their daughter played soccer or their son played baseball, and your daughter or son's going to play something else. It might not go exactly the same for every sport here. And I think that's pretty normal across most Division II institutions. So if you're a recruited scholarship athlete, and I won't go too far into financial aid because that's not really my area, but that means basically you're getting athletic aid and academic aid, and you're a recruited scholarship athlete. The second way is you're considered a walk-on. And sometimes, in some cases, that doesn't mean it actually never means you're a lesser player. It just means for whatever reason, it can be timing. It can be a financial situation that just worked out better that way. You're on the team, but you're considered a walk-on. So you're a non-scholarship athlete. So you're getting aid from the institution in every other way possible besides athletics. The third way, and this is also unique, you can walk on because you went through a tryout. The NCAA allows a 14-day tryout period. However, some of our teams don't host tryouts because our roster is full. Our institution also caps our roster, so we can't go over a specific roster number. So there is some years where some programs may have a tryout and some may not. It's unique per sport. And then the final way is there's a chance to play sports here if you're not an official member of our institutional sports. We have intramurals and they're offered in almost every sport we offer. So that's a case of if maybe your son or daughter didn't get an opportunity to try out, or maybe they did and it didn't work out, there's always an option to possibly play intramurals, which I used to be the intramural director and I'm a big fan of that program. It's really awesome. Okay. So I would be remiss not to go through a couple of these things, because whether you're a parent on this call and you have a student athlete coming here, or you're possibly thinking you have a student athlete that may want to try out to come here, I like to mention these things to parents. Believe it or not, I know sometimes your son or daughter will get information communicated to them that they might not share with you, or they may share with you and it may be a little murky. You may not understand it clearly because they may be, we know how college kids could be. So the first thing I want to remind my parents on the call is the transition to high school to college is sometimes a difficult one for parents, because rightfully so, these are your children. They're your most precious thing in your life, and we completely understand that. But as I transition to college, there's a lot less parent involvement at our level. So I think what I tell my coaches is if there's a health and safety concern, a mental health concern, those things we want to be working in tandem with our parents. The playing time, the rooming situations, those things actually by law, once your child becomes an adult, has to be communicated directly to your child. So those are some of the things as you transition. I would encourage you to have your children be their own advocate. Our coaches do have open office doors, and I promise no matter what they tell you, our coaches are capable and wanting to speak with your kids regarding any concerns they might have. I think the privilege concept for me is important because, listen, even our recruited athletes, no one's guaranteed anything. It's a privilege to play, in my opinion, sport, period. And it's definitely a privilege to play at the college level. So we're expecting our student athletes to follow the mission of the institution, follow all institutional rules, and the program rules. So I think that's an important thing to understand. There's a lot of benefits that come with this from, I don't know what student athlete doesn't want a free trip to Hawaii. They get apparel, they get really cool professional coaching, great facilities, and all those cool things. But the time management, and I say this every year in my pre-school conversation I have, if your freshman son or daughter does not call home one time and tell you they're tired and they cannot do this, then probably they're not being honest with you. Support them and encourage them. It's hard your first semester, maybe your whole first year. Encourage them to continue. Encourage them not to give up. It does get easier. It does get better. It usually happens around the time when school gets hard, they're sore from lifting, and they don't feel like they're good enough to compete. And it's pretty normal. It happens to pretty much every athlete that we have. So during that time when they call, love on them and throw them right back out there and tell them they can do it, because most of the time they can. Okay, so I think the balance is important, and these are some other questions that we get. So in our home conference, the Pac West, we've got long extended trips to both Northern California and to Hawaii. So a question we get a lot is class missed time. So a number 2 point, academics is the number one priority. And I say this to the professors and to our coaches. Believe it or not, our student athletes, they don't love to miss class mostly. So it's a little stressful for them when we go on trips. The things that we have in place to help with that are academic advising works hand in hand with us with our schedules to minimize the missed classes that we do have. Our scheduling process goes through our faculty athletic rep to ensure that we're only missing a minimum amount of class in order to be successful in each class. And then our coaches work in conjunction with our players. Sometimes there's conflicts we can't avoid, especially in our off seasons. So when that happens, we've got to work hard to accommodate, move practice around, make some adjustments for lifting. And that's something we're very used to. When we travel and we miss class, generally the conferences we are in tries their best to schedule around our winter break, spring break, Thanksgiving break for these large extended trips. So we minimize the amount of class we miss, but most professors are really, really good to work with as long as you communicate. In terms of how our week sets up, the NCAA dictates how much time we can practice. Those things are checked every week through compliance and double checked through student audit. So those things are pretty hard to get around. And then mental health is a priority to us. So we moved our head athletic trainer, Glory Fung, into a new role this year. He is now Associate Athletic Director of Wellness and Mental Health. So his main job is to provide education, support, and really an extra set of eyes and hands with our student athletes that may be struggling with all the things that we all struggle with, right? Overworked, overwhelmed, the things that happen in life, all the things. The cool part about Division II is our true slogan. The NCAA slogan is life in the balance, and it is one of the benefits at playing at the Division II level. Next, I'm going to talk just a little bit about eligibility, and I don't get overwhelmed by this part, okay? Because it's really hard for me to understand, and I'm the athletic director. So just so I can touch on this a little bit so our parents can understand. First step for us to be eligible as student athletes is like initial eligibility, and that's done through the NCAA Eligibility Center. So if you have a son or daughter, and I'm sure you know this, if they're planning on being a student athlete here, they have to get cleared through the Eligibility Center before they're eligible to play here. So that includes some core classes they take in high school. That includes their GPA. They obviously had to get into our school and all those things. So once they're in for the first year, okay, great. Then they've got things like they have to hit certain units and certain GPAs every semester. They've got to start declaring a major by their 5th semester, which then gives them units that make progress towards degree. So if you hear them start talking about this, we have a compliance department here that this is their sole role, is to keep track of people's eligibility to make sure that they're on track to graduate. The reason why the NCAA puts progress towards degree in, and one of the benefits of moving to the NCAA is their whole purpose here is to graduate. The NAIA did not have a check like this. The NCAA requires this to make sure a student athlete is not taking basket weaving for 4 years and then going like, okay, I've lost my eligibility, I'm done. So it's a really good trick in place. Pretty much guarantees graduation somewhere within the 5 years. We hope 4 years, which is the norm here, but it keeps us on track in terms of knowing upper division units. But this is at the end, I'll give you a contact to our compliance director. Please know your student athlete is not on their own for this. This is something that gets checked and double checked every single semester while they're here. So when they say they didn't know about their progress towards degree, I promise in their email somewhere, someone told them, hey, heads up, we need to make sure we're in 3 units of upper division, whatever that it is in their junior year. So, and I'm sure there'll be some questions on that in the end. How am I doing, girls? I'm just rolling pretty good. Great. So I'm going to touch on this very, very quickly because it's not specific to Concordia, but I think it's important to talk about. There's a lot of news about the NCAA that's been swirling around. You know, there's some, I'm sure you're shocked. There's a lot of political things that go on in the NCAA. There's a lot of social issues that are coming through. I think some of the things I just want to mention. So you've heard something probably called the NLI, which is, NIL, which is the name, image, and likeness situation where people are can now get paid for the use of their name, image, and likeness. We get asked a lot, how often does that get utilized? To be honest, it gets utilized quite a bit here, and the way that it gets utilized by our student athletes is they maybe are social media influencers for a product. They might work at a gym and they then want to be utilized in their promo material. That's kind of the things that we see come across our desk the most. Again, those things go through compliance. And to me, it's been a positive step, I think, to allow student athletes some freedom to earn a living off their name. The NCAA also has some things coming through about conference realignment. That's happened an awful lot, especially at the Division I level. And then there's some things coming through, which maybe in the state of California you've heard about, which is, should student athletes be considered employees or not? And if so, what would that mean? It would mean a lot of differences in collegiate sports. We're not there yet, so I don't want to scare you, but those are kind of the hot topic issues that are coming across the NCAA that you'd probably want to be a little bit understanding of as your student athlete embarks on this part of their career. Okay, I want to go through just some common questions because we get these a lot. I know Megan gets them a lot. So I think probably the number one question I get, and I get this a lot, is does my athlete have to stay with other athletes if they live here? And if so, does the coach assign the rooms? Our first answer is no, they don't have to stay with other athletes. As they enroll in housing, they get to answer a questionnaire that goes through all kinds of questions. One of those is, do you have someone that you know you want to live with, i.e. an incoming teammate? Or would you like to be placed randomly? Some coaches have a little bit more interest in this. I'll take myself, for instance, I'll have a student athlete, incoming freshman, say, do you know anyone that you think might be a great fit for me? I'd like to live with the softball player. But I think that one is pretty open per coach. The second one I get a lot is, does my child get priority registration as an athlete? The answer is no. If you want to lean into the administration for us and try to get it for us, it'd be great. I'm just kidding. They really don't need it, truly. And we've done a lot in this area to kind of look and see how this works. The cool part about Concordia is it's a service-based institution. So if your student athlete is on top of advising, registering on time, and having an understanding of their schedule. Now, they might have to take class at 7:30. They may have to take a class on Friday, but generally you can make a schedule work within your time constraints if you do those things. Third question, do all players travel to every trip? That is specific to a team. Some teams have travel rosters, some do not. What's it based off of? Sometimes it's based off of like how many seats are available on a bench on a road trip. How much do you want someone to miss class that maybe isn't able to play? I would definitely encourage you guys to have your student athlete or prospective student athlete talk to a coach. They are told to be very transparent about that. I think the norm in college is that there is a travel roster in probably 80% of sports. But it's something I think that's important to know how someone would get to that answer and if there is a limited roster. This one will make you laugh, but I'm serious. I'm the AD, and the question is, who can I talk to about playing time? You can talk to your child about their playing time, and you would encourage your child to talk to their coach. And I know that seems like maybe, hopefully to you, it seems like that's a no-brainer, but this seems to be one we have been landing on more and more with parents. I had a coach as a dad, and I would really encourage you guys to teach your, which I'm sure you have, to teach your student athletes how to advocate for themselves. Their relationship with their coach is really important. It's really important to their coach too. You know, I'd say when conversations rise to a parent's level, it would be several conversations with student athlete. It would be student athlete concerns that maybe are greater than why am I not playing? And then maybe mom or dad would step in to say, could I maybe be a part of a meeting after you've had several meetings that have not worked out? And then the last question is, can anyone try out for the team? I think I answered that. And sometimes I know it's really frustrating to someone that they cannot, unfortunately, because of the things I mentioned earlier, excuse me. It's just sometimes it's not possible to have open tryouts in our sports. Excuse me. Okay, the final slide for me, which is exciting. So we do have really exciting plans coming in athletics. We have a new, and we're hoping in May, we've already broken ground. We're supposed to build a state-of-the-art weight room and locker room facilities for outdoor sports. Now, the plans for these would truly make our institution the premier athletic program in the West Coast in Division II. It's a 6,000 square foot weight room with an additional 6,000 square foot locker room, training room, office facility. This thing really would push us over the edge. It would be included with a top loft that has a restaurant that can kind of overlook all the facilities. So for us, this is something we're very much looking forward to. And I think just the second bullet point, we really already have amazing facilities. Most of our facilities have undergone renovation. This summer, our tennis court is on the docket for resurface. So that's our next major plan. But our baseball field, softball field, track, and gym have all undergone renovations. Our off-campus facilities, including our aquatic center, the Willett Center, is home to the U.S. Olympic team. So really everything we're using or everything we own here is state of the art. And obviously the location is amazing and it can't get beat, in my opinion. And then I think when I say the whole package of development from the inside out, I mean from our president to our cabinet to our board. The commitment to athletics is awesome because that's just who these people are to our students, period, not just athletics. We are a large part of the population here. So obviously there's some interest put in this, but I would say that ever since Dr. Thomas took over, it has been abundantly clear that this is something that if we're going to do it, we're going to try to be as excellent as we can. And I think the development of this next step of our facilities is really a really good testament to that. And then I just want to give this last slide. I want to give you my contact. I will give you a chance to answer questions. And then the second person's contact is probably who you will, if you have questions in the pre part of being here, she is our person that does compliance. So she determines eligibility. She determines if transcripts need to get sent here. She determines she's really my boss. She really determines all the things that make someone eligible to the NCAA. So I just wanted to give you her information so that you would be prepared if you had a question for her. I'm gonna stop sharing, Evan. I'm gonna pass it back to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Crystal, for that wonderful presentation. Very informative. At this time, we're going to pass it back to you guys, everyone who's attended on the webinar right now, for a Q&A. So we have a little over 30 minutes left for the remainder of the evening, and it's your time to ask us any questions for me, Megan, Crystal, something that you may have heard tonight, or something completely unrelated to athletics. Hopefully it's related to admissions so I can answer it, or we can find the answer if it's not related to any of those things. So looks like we have our first question from Carrie Wallbank. Why doesn't every sport have a live streaming option? If a sport doesn't have it, do parents get together and live stream for other parents?
Good question. So the answer, the one, and I believe, are we talking about tennis possibly? Carrie, is that the one sport we're asking for? I'm not sure. Can she respond to that?
Yeah, Carrie, if it's for tennis, so you maybe just type in another question or even in the chat for beach volleyball. That's right.
Okay, so beach volleyball, we do. So yes, the quick answer is parents do get together on live stream. We have some limitations on our off-campus facility. We are working on a system. We have a hard time with internet hardwire connection, which is what our network requires for security reasons. So we do have a plan in place, including with tennis. We're working so that every single sport is live streamed. In our plans moving forward, we do have a plan to move beach volleyball to our campus, and that's best case scenario for first and foremost our student athletes. Second for us as well, because one of our issues is when we don't have control of the facilities, the Great Park where we are out there is not super conducive to allowing us to do that. But we definitely are working on it to provide that. But to answer your question quick, yes, to be honest, our coach sometimes will have a live streaming option that you can see, like a YouTube link that they'll stream sometimes.
All right. Thanks, Crystal. And congratulations, Carrie, for depositing. Does Concordia allow dual sport athletes?
Yes, we do. The deal of it is it has to be something mutually agreed upon by both coach. So what we have seen in the past, the easiest one is cross country and track, which is considered a dual sport athlete. Sometimes you'll see a volleyball person be a jumper in a jumper for track. Sometimes a water polo player will swim. So it just really comes down to who is responsible for A, the scholarship, if there is one, and then B, who has priority, because someone has to be designated as priority sport one.
Great. These are great questions, guys. Keep them coming. We have plenty of time to answer everyone. All right. Our next question is, what are off-season training programs like for athletes, and is it optional or voluntary?
Off-season hours are definitely different than in-season. So in-season championship season is a 20-hour week. That's what we're capable of doing. In our out-of-season competition, we're an 8-hour week. When there's different windows, but we're either in an 8-hour week or 15-hour week. It is generally mandatory. There'll be some days where maybe a coach will say today is a voluntary day of shooting at soccer or whatever it may be, but generally they're mandatory. And in those 8 hours or 15 hours is also your strength conditioning. So it's 8 hours period, 15 hours period, or 20 hours period with every single countable athletic related activity that's included in that.
All right. And the next question is from Jackie on behalf of her student, Brianna. And Jackie and Brianna, I think I remember you guys, if this is who I'm, Brianna Kai, I believe. I remember talking to you guys at Scholars Reception. So nice to see you again. The question is, my daughter was handed a card to call the cheer stunt coach at back in September. It took her a while to gather up the courage to call. She also emailed the coach and sent her an Instagram link. If she hasn't heard back, should we assume that the roster is full?
Good question. No, you should not. And I would love a contact to get back to my coach to get back to your daughter. So Evan, if we could get her contact, I can assure you I can get the coach to return the email.
Okay, Jackie, if you could, in the chat box, just chat me directly your information and or Brianna's information, the best number and email to reach you guys at. I believe it's Brianna Kai and I have her info, but I just want to get it directly from you and I'll pass it over to Crystal. All right, from Trisha, let's see. Oh, okay. Second part of her question is she's just wondering what the off-season training is looking like. I think we answered that.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Trisha. Okay, from Tylene, would it be possible to participate in music ensembles while being a track or cross-country athlete? It's a great question.
So again, yes, this would have to be something mutually agreed upon. So I'll go back to, because we do have this happen quite a bit. Sometimes it's music first, cross country or track and field second. So that would have to be a conversation had between the coach and the music director to see if it's possible. Sometimes what we have found is it's like overload on the student, but that seems to be one that's been a good natural fit. Cross country and track with music has been something we've seen quite a bit of. And then again, I would go to, it's helpful. One will be designated as the priority. So sometimes it's the music as the priority and cross country is secondary. But that's something that we can definitely work on and we have in the past, as long as the student athlete is communicating with coach and with music director.
All right, guys, I'm going to wait for a few more questions to funnel in. All right, we have our next question from Summer Peterson. If I'm already committed to one sport, how would I go about possibly playing another? For example, I'm already committed to indoor volleyball, but I'm thinking about trying to join beach volleyball. How would I go about this? Would I try out?
You would first want to talk to the indoor volleyball coach to make sure she would be okay with that. Because there is an off-season training session for indoor during the spring where they play spring games. So the first person that have to agree to that is the indoor coach. And if she would, the same thing would go for the beach coach. The beach coach would have to okay this person missing in the fall, because the hard part about being a dual athlete, and to be candid, is you're missing a non-championship season with the team that you're missing. And so a lot of that time is how you build team cohesion and you get your reps in and all those things. So your first one is, if your first commitment is to indoor, get Coach Weishoff to commit to that. And then you'd contact our beach coach, Coach Griffith, and say, hey, this is who I am. Is there a possibility I could try out for beach, and does that work?
All right, our next question is a clarifying question or a follow-up question from Tylene about cross-country and track. She says, what would it really mean to designate one of those just mentioned as a priority? So music and cross-country or track.
Because if you are doing both, let's say there's a music ensemble happening the same exact time as cross-country meet, you would designate which one is your priority. So generally what we see is, if you're a scholarship athlete, or athletics is your first priority, you would tell the ensemble person, I'm only going to be at ensemble when it's not like it doesn't conflict, and vice versa. If music is your first priority and you're running cross country as your secondary thing, you would say, then I'm going to miss cross country. And this is when the coach has to be able to agree to that. That's why it's important to know, and maybe there's never a conflict, but generally there is, between either practice and or performance in game.
Great question and great answer. Summer says thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, a question from Jackie. My daughter received a Regents scholarship on admissions. Congratulations, by the way. Can scholarships be layered? Great question. Okay, so the student is Brianna Farley. Chat is currently disabled. Okay, I just enabled the chat to make it for everyone to chat, but thank you, Jackie, for clarifying your daughter. I'm glad you did, because I thought it was a different Brianna. So Crystal, or do you
want me to take this one?
Yeah, Megan, you
Yeah.
can take the question.
Thank you so much, Jackie, for asking. So congratulations to your daughter on receiving the Regent Scholarship first. And to answer your question, yes, it can be stacked. Now there's different way scholarships and need-based aid and all of that can be stacked, and I'm happy to go into detail on what that can look like. I know you're going to shoot Evan over your information, and I can connect with you and kind of give you the two different routes that we have. But to answer your general question, yes, they can be stacked.
All right, and Jackie and everyone else on the call, I just put my my email address in the chat. So please feel free to either message me your info on the chat. If you don't want everyone to see your information, go ahead and send me a personal email and I'll get back to you tonight, or I'll forward it to the proper contact. All right, so another question from Carrie. Is there a site to purchase athletic specific team shirts besides the CUI bookstore site?
So there is, I would suggest you have your daughter or son reach out to the coach. Sometimes we host through our vendor who provides all of our official athletic apparel, which is not what you'll find in the bookstore. We host team sites. They don't stay up indefinitely, but they do come up periodically. So what you can do is, let's say volleyball has a site, it will last for about 3 weeks. You can order official gear, then it closes, you receive your items. It will kind of shuffle through a couple months and it will open again. So we don't have a site that stays open consistently, but every one of our sports, for the most part, offers a site quarterly or so where they sell their official gear, such as a shirt for your daughter or son.
Great. And Tylene asks, can you give us an idea of what's the kind of typical scholarship amounts and or ranges that are possible for a cross country and or track athlete?
Tough to answer because it's really specific based on the student. I mean, it could be $500 to $30,000. I mean, it's really conducive on the coach, their need, the skill, timing. And then to be honest, we're trying to work with packages that make sense for our entire program. So sometimes we're limited in terms of we've got to hit a roster or need a roster of 20 people to participate. So we've got to share those funds. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, but it can $500 to, you know, some students are fully funded depending on the situation in the sport. So it's different. Track and field would be all over the map or cross country. Again, that's a large roster sport. Traditionally a really high academic sport, so they receive a lot of academic aid. So I would say that would be a fair estimation, between 500 to 30,000.
Excellent. We'll wait for some more questions to pour in, but I do want to just add a few things from an admission standpoint to everyone on the call. One, because I don't know exactly who all is on the call, if you're a parent or a student, but if you have not applied yet, we are still accepting applications. If you have applied and you are accepted, then we want to invite you to Admitted Students Day on April 6th. And for our accepted students, if you are accepted and you have not deposited yet, we would love for you to deposit, to commit to Concordia and submit your $300 enrollment deposit. For anyone waiting for the FAFSA for additional federal aid, we should have that information to us like the last week of March, first week of April, and get those packages out to you as soon as possible. And for those who have not applied yet, if you do want to apply, or if you are planning on applying or have an application in progress, again, email me, give me the name of your son or daughter, or yourself if you're the student, and we will follow up on your application and try to get you an answer as soon as possible. All right, everyone, we have some more time, about 20 minutes left for questions. We want to make sure that you guys leave tonight having no questions. If it's about admissions, athletics, if it's for me, Crystal, or Megan, please use this time. You have our undivided attention, even if it's just about Concordia in general and what our school stands for and what we're like. Yeah, put it in the Q&A box so we can give you an idea. If you guys have already been recruited, probably have already been to campus. For anyone who has not been to campus yet, we encourage you guys to take a personalized visit. That's a great way to just tour the campus, see our dorm rooms, and meet with the faculty of your intended major, and also meet with the admissions team and the admissions counselor, which will be Megan. So on that note, if you are an athlete, you're already been recruited, you are working with Megan. If you have applied and you have not yet let us know that you are planning on walking on, or if we find out that you are going to be recruited and you're working with another admissions counselor, we're going to switch you over to Megan, because Megan, like she said in the beginning, works with all of our student athletes. And she was a student athlete herself, so she can give you kind of an inside glimpse into what it looks like, application process, student-wise, etc. All right, we have another question. If a student is admitted, do they still need to send transcripts from the end of their senior year? That's a great question.
I can take this one, Evan.
Yeah, go ahead, Megan.
Yes, we will need an updated official transcript with their graduation date. So as soon as they graduate, I do encourage you to go to, I believe it's called the registrar's office, I'm so sorry, in high school, and have your student order the official transcript with graduation date, because what will happen is schools close during summer. And so then they can't order their transcript until August, and then we're bugging them. So yes, to answer your question, we will need an official transcript with graduation date.
Awesome. Thanks, Megan. Our next question is from Gino. Can we meet with the coaches on a visit? Have not met them yet, and it's for baseball.
Yeah, so I would encourage you to email our coaching staff. If you have a hard time getting a hold of them, Megan can definitely connect you with them. But once you're here, the two things that would stop them from meeting with you is they're not here because they've got a game, they're traveling for a game, or they may not be in the office. But otherwise, our coaches do their best to be available, especially if you're someone already coming here. If you're not, and you're a prospective student athlete, and you would like a chance to meet with a coach, your best option is to email them. Our athletic website has every single coach's contact. That's CUIGoldenEagles.com. And there you can go to a staff directory and figure out how to email each one of our coaches. And if they're following the good rules, they'll contact you back and let them know when they're available.
Yeah, and to that note, you can go on our website just to cui.edu/a-visit to schedule a personal tour. However, like Crystal's saying, if you really want to see a coach, or if a coach is expecting you, the coach will need to correspond with our visits and events office so that they can coordinate the visit and make sure their schedules align. If you just go to our website directly and you're scheduling your visit and you're expecting to meet a coach, that's not quite the proper way to do it, because you could come on a visit and our visit coordinator not connect with the coach, vice versa, and they could be gone that day. So just make sure you definitely give the coach a heads up. All right, we have about 15 more minutes for questions. Megan, can you think of anything to add from as an admissions counselor standpoint? Anything that, frequent questions that maybe you deal with on a day-to-day basis, questions perhaps that haven't been asked that would be useful for everyone to know?
Yeah, I think the big one I always get is, what is the enrollment process to start getting classes started? So just kind of to give you guys some clarification, I work in admissions. So essentially, I'm going to help your student hit those checklist boxes to get into school. So our enrollment process will start end of May, beginning of June, and your student will receive an email from myself with a class registration survey. Now, if your student is committed to Concordia and has not activated their Eagles account, their Eagles email, please have them do that ASAP. The reason being is that will be the primary communication from all other departments. So financial aid will email them there. Student life will email them. So they need to get in the routine of checking that at least once a week right now. But yes, they will receive a class registration form that comes from me. They fill that out with their intended major. That goes to their academic advisor, who will then email them their first semester of classes with also a graduation plan. They'll get access to degree work so they can see all of their classes. And then after that, they'll have the autonomy to enroll themselves. So that's a big question that I get, May, June, and that's kind of the same timeline with housing, is May and June.
Excellent. Thanks, Megan. Our next question is from Cal. He said, I recently applied to the university and I'm wondering how I can check my status since I haven't gotten any information on how to check it. Also, in terms of athletics, how early do I need to start? How early do I need to start anything once I am accepted? So I'll take that first part. Cal, I just looked up your profile and it looks like we haven't yet received a completed application from you. I think it looks like you've started it, but still need to do some more things to complete it, which could include submitting your transcripts. I see that your admissions counselor is Lucas, so I will connect with Lucas first thing tomorrow. If you're available, I can even give you a call after this webinar just to go over your application. There's not quite a way to check your status online, like you don't have a portal yet. But if you reach out to your admissions counselor, you, Cal, or anyone on this call wondering about your application, we will definitely check right there on the spot. So Cal, if you're available, I'll give you a call at 6 o'clock just to let you know what else we need from you. And then the second part of the question.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if we're asking if you want to walk on as soon as you're accepted to the university, or if you want an answer before, I would email the coach directly and let them know, hey, I've been accepted and I'm considering going to school at Concordia, or I'm coming to Concordia. Do you have tryout options? Is that something that's I'm capable of doing? And if so, when are they? That would be what I would suggest that you do.
Great. It looks like we have one more question. Oh, Cal says thanks. All right, thanks, Cal. I'll get in touch with you. All right, while we are waiting for just a few more questions to pour in before we conclude the evening, I just want to give you guys a heads up of what other webinars are coming up on our Concordia Compass series. They are pertinent to everybody. So listen in, because I think this, if you attend in the future, it'll just be really great if you're planning on being a student here at Concordia. So the next one we have is on April 3rd. It's a webinar about our honors program. If you are an honors student, you would know by now. So this is just for honors eligible students. That's a kind of a smaller demographic. But on April 16th, this is for everyone. It's Campus Life at Concordia. And we are going to have our Dean of Student Life on there, our faculty, our staff from advising, and for student life. So a lot of the key players for Campus Life, they're going to give you great insight as to what it looks like to be here and live here at Concordia or commute at Concordia. So that one, we're probably going to cover a wide range of topics, and that will be a great one for Q&A. So if you can attend on April 16th, go ahead and register. I'll send the link in just a moment. On May 9th, we have academics and student success. So we will have one of our professors, also some faculty, staff from advising, just talking about what it looks like to be a student here at Concordia and to succeed and excel and get good grades and not feel overwhelmed. And also we're going to be talking about what makes Concordia unique when it comes to academics, because there is a lot that makes us stand apart from the crowd as a private Christian university. And our second to last one, June 17th, it's an open forum with Concordia leadership. This is one you definitely don't want to miss, because our provost, our dean of students, and our president is going to be on this webinar, and it's going to be an open forum. So an hour of Q&A, anything you want to know, you have the president's and the provost's undivided attention. Definitely register on June 17th. And our very last one on July 17th, it is for students who are definitely planning to come to Concordia. It's preparing for WOW, which is our week of welcome. So that is the weekend right before school starts, when you're moving in, and we have orientations. So if you are deposited, enrolled, committed in any way, shape, or form, come to that webinar on July 17th. And I will go ahead right now and copy and paste this link into the chat. You can take a look, read more about each webinar, and register for one or all. All right, we have another question also from Cal. What does it look like in regard to living on campus, and how long is a typical student required to stay on campus? Excellent question. Megan, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take it, Evan. So essentially, we require students to live on campus until they are 21. Then you have the opportunity to live off campus. If you are under 21, you can be living with family. So that's kind of the standard protocol. As Evan mentioned, I am an alum. I lived on campus all 4 years, and I loved every second of it. Was really engaged in student life and got to meet a ton of different people. So I encourage it if you can, and food is cooked for you. So you just walk up a hill and it's right there. So that's the nice part.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think all three of us had that in common on the call. I am an alum too, a long time ago, but I lived on campus. And it was probably the best decision, one of the best decisions I've ever made, coming to Concordia and living here on the dorms. Our dorms are very nice. So again, take a tour and come see them if you haven't already. And just by being a small school and living on campus, it's hard not to make best friends, lifelong friends to be more specific. So it's awesome and I can't recommend it enough.
I was one of the dummies that moved off campus my junior year, and boy, was that super smart financially for me. So stay on campus. And your long time ago is not anywhere close to a long time ago, Evan.
It's not too far off, Crystal. You'd be surprised. All right, everyone, we have about 9 more minutes. Last chance for any questions. Again, athletics, admissions, student life, campus life, Concordia in general. I want to acknowledge that this is a very high pressure time for you guys, for students and for parents. You not only are you wrapping up senior year, but you're in the thick of the decision-making process. So please know that from an admission standpoint, I am here. Call me, email me anytime, Megan as well, since she is the person you are directly working with. We are, and Crystal too, from an athletic standpoint, we're here to do anything that you need to do to make this process easy and straightforward and honestly as peaceful as possible. So if it's answering more questions, if it's coming in to meet with us personally, if it's setting up a meeting with the coach, we'll do the best in our power to make that happen. And moreover, any accepted student on this call tonight, I have personally reviewed all of the accepted applications. So I can say in good faith that you guys are all great students because we only admit great students. So we want you here at Concordia. If we have accepted you, that means that you are a good student and you are a good fit for us. And we would be honored to have you in our student body. So please consider taking the next step with us and committing to Concordia University and being part of our class of 2028. And yeah, email, call me if there's anything we can do in the meantime. All right, a few last minute questions pouring in. Thanks so much. Just from Trisha, she says, thank you for all the great information. Everyone at Concordia has been super welcoming to my daughter. Megan has been great to work with and answers all of our questions timely. Thank you so much, Trisha. That's an amazing compliment. That's our goal, is to make you feel cared for. So thank you for letting us know that.
Thank you, Trisha.
Yeah, and great job to Megan. She has been on she's one of the longest running admissions counselors in our department, and she is a superstar. So you're lucky to have her as your counselor. Cal says, for prior military, who should we connect with so that we can discuss benefits and financial assistance from the military side of things? Great question. I'm going to let you answer that, Megan.
Yeah, Cal, I'll go ahead and connect with you. His name is Richard Lewis. He's the director of our Veterans Resource Center. I will follow up with an email, or if you speak with Evan tonight, she can give you the direct contact to him and he can walk you through everything.
Yeah, Cal, I'll give you a call in just a few minutes and I can give you that information.
I think, Evan, we had one question up at the top. From
okay.
Carrie. What is the typical student meal plan most popular? So as a freshman, Carrie, students are required to have either the 14 meal plan or the 19 meal plan per week. 14 meals evens out to 2 per day and 19 is 3. I would say the most popular is 14. Especially with athletics, students are on the road and sometimes they don't use that meal, or honestly, they don't want to get up in the morning and go to the calf. So that's just from my own personal experience also.
And for just as a follow-up to what I was kind of talking about of taking the next steps and committing to Concordia, for anyone who that is your next step and that is your reality, Concordia is right for you. I've just copied and pasted our deposit link in the chat box. So you should be able to see it. It's the very last link, cui.edu/admissions undergraduate deposit. And there you can put your $300 enrollment deposit. There's been a lot of delays with the FAFSA. Again, FAFSA is coming soon, but we have not officially postponed or moved our official deadline decision date. So some UCs, I think, are pushing it out to May 1st. Ours is still May 1st. If you are one of the few that need more time or need to think about it a little bit more, let Megan know. And we'll see. We're all about being flexible. That's the perk of being a small school and a small admissions team. So let us know how we can help you. All right, 5 more minutes. I just want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for being on our call tonight. At 5 o'clock, that's prime time, dinner time, practice time, commuting time. And so we're just so appreciative that you have taken time out of your schedules to come here tonight on our webinar and hear from me and Crystal and Megan. And honestly, just take the next steps at Concordia, because you being here tonight and learning about us more and getting more information is a huge next step. So we're super glad that we could connect with all of you. For anyone that needs more information afterwards, my email is in there. You've got Crystal's email. I'm sorry. My email is in there. Crystal's email is in there. Megan, can you copy and paste your email in the chat box as well so they can get a hold of you directly? All right, well, I don't think we have any more questions coming in. So we are going to stop there. Again, thanks everyone for coming out. For our accepted students on the call, I really, really hope to see you at Admitted Students Day on April 6th, which is a Saturday. It's here on campus from 12 to 4 p.m. It's going to be really exciting. Not only will we have a Kona ice truck, it's actually a luau theme. We're going to have some of our Hawaiian club members doing performances and live entertainment. So we'll have luau food, a Kona ice truck. The admission staff will be there, student life staff will be there. You'll get to ask us more questions. We are accepting deposits on site and doing some financial aid appointments on site. So it's a really exciting time, and you will get to meet your future classmates. So if you're kind of nervous about coming to school or coming to college or finding a roommate, come to Admitted Students Day. Get a head start on meeting everyone. You might even make a friend and find a roommate. So we hope to see you there. I've shared a bunch of links with you guys up until this point. So I'm going to send the link to Admitted Students Day if you want to register. All accepted students should be receiving invites in the mail this week if you haven't already. But if you want to register tonight, there is the RSVP link. All right, any last words, Crystal or Megan, before we kind of end on the night, end tonight?
Just thank you so much for taking time, like Evan said, and our goal is in athletics is to help your son or daughter become better than when we got them, and enhance the things that you've done for them. And please know, on behalf of my coaching staff and myself, your child is truly valued and cared for here. And during their experience, if there's any concerns that you have, you can contact your head coach. And like I mentioned, if there's issues beyond that, I'm available to anyone and understand, like I said, how important this person, your son or daughter, is to you. And we are excited to welcome to Concordia. And as an alumni myself, I can tell you the value of this place changed my life and has continued to change my life as I've been here all these years later.
Well, thanks, guys. I just want to say thank you. And my information is in the chat box. So if you guys have any questions, always feel free to reach out.
All right, we look forward to working with you guys more and seeing you at Admitted Students Day. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks again.